The first time I saw that white SUV parked halfway up my driveway, I honestly thought it was a mistake. Like maybe someone pulled in for 2 seconds to turn around, realized it wasn't their house, and they'd be gone any minute. But no, it was just sitting there, engine off, perfectly angled like it had been living there rent-free for years. And that's the moment I learned something important about certain neighborhoods. Some people don't ask. They declare. I'm Tyler Bennett, and 6 months ago, I moved into a quiet little subdivision outside of town called Cedar Haven, Georgia. Nothing fancy, just one of those clean, peaceful places where everyone has a flag on the porch, a neat lawn, and a "Bless This Home" sign from Hobby Lobby. I bought the house for one reason, and one reason only. The driveway, wide enough for 2 cars side by side, plus a double garage. After years of apartment parking lots, late-night parallel parking, and playing Guess Which Car Alarm Is Yours, that driveway felt like freedom. Simple freedom. Pull in, park, walk inside. Done. So when I saw that SUV sitting on my concrete like it belonged to the street, my first reaction wasn't rage. It was confusion. I walked next door, knocked politely, and waited. The door swung open, and there she was. Perfect hair, giant sunglasses, that expression that looks like she's permanently disappointed in the existence of other humans. She smiled, but it was the kind of smile you give a cashier right before you ask for the manager. "Oh, that's community parking now," she said. I blinked. "Sorry. What?" She leaned against her doorframe like we were having casual porch talk. "The street gets crowded, so we use available space." "Available space?" I said, pointing behind me. "That's my driveway." She nodded slowly. "Yes, and you should be proud to help out. Not everybody has the luxury of extra room." The way she said luxury made me laugh out loud. And not because it was funny, because it was insane. Like my concrete slab had just been elected mayor. "I'm not doing this," I told her, still trying to keep it friendly. "Whoever that is needs to move." She tilted her chin up. "I'm Melissa Crane. I'm on the HOA compliance committee. If you have concerns, you can bring them to the next meeting." Then she closed the door, right in my face. That was the exact moment it stopped being a misunderstanding and became a war. And at first, I tried to stay reasonable. I didn't want drama. I work full-time. I pay my mortgage. I mind my business. I don't have the energy to be the main character in an HOA soap opera. But Melissa? She was one of those people who treated power like oxygen. If you let her take one thing, she'd take 10 more, and she'd call it community harmony. By the next weekend, there were 2 more cars in my driveway. Not even politely parked either. I mean diagonal, blocking the mouth of the driveway like they were trying to pin me in. Monday morning, I walked out at 7 a.m., coffee in one hand, keys in the other. And there was a dented minivan sitting right across my exit like a lazy boulder. I stood there staring at it in disbelief. Then I noticed a piece of printer paper taped to my mailbox. "Overflow parking list. Call this number." I called it. A sleepy voice answered. "Hello. Hey, your van is blocking my driveway. I need to get out." A pause. Then the guy goes, "Hold on. I'll tell my cousin." And he hangs up. 20 minutes later, the minivan crawls away like it's doing me a favor. I was late to work. And the whole drive to the office, my hands were gripping the wheel like I was trying not to snap it in half. That night, I dug out the HOA packet they gave me at closing. Flipped through every page like a man looking for a hidden trapdoor. Rules about lawn height, trash bins, holiday lights, mailbox colors. All kinds of nonsense. But nothing about using private driveways as parking. So I confronted Melissa in the street the next day. "You don't have authority to do this," I said. "That's trespassing." Melissa smiled, that sweet little church lady smile that somehow felt like a threat. "We do what's best for the neighborhood, Tyler. If you can't be part of the solution, maybe you're not a good fit here." That word, fit, hit like a slap. Like she wasn't talking about parking anymore. Like she was telling me I didn't belong. And here's the part nobody tells you. With people like Melissa, it's never about the rules. It's about control. She didn't want my driveway because she needed the space. She wanted it because it was mine. And she couldn't stand that. The first real escalation came that Friday. I came home and saw flyers taped to every mailbox on the street. Bright, cheerful font like it was announcing a bake sale. Community parking policy effective immediately. And underneath it, bullet points about shared resources and neighborhood cooperation. Then, right there at the bottom, it listed addresses by zone. And guess what address was designated overflow parking for Zone C? Mine. I tore it down, crumpled it, and threw it in the trash. 2 hours later, Melissa was at my door, clipboard in hand, like she was a cartoon villain. "You can't remove official HOA notices," she snapped. I laughed. "Official? Where's the board signature? Where's the vote? Where's anything besides you typing on a printer?" Melissa's nostrils flared. "Your hostility is noted." That night, I parked my truck sideways across my driveway. No space for anyone to nose in. No room for community parking. Just my vehicle, blocking my own property like a temporary fortress. The next morning, there was a note on my windshield. "Selfish. HOA will handle you." No signature. Just entitlement in black ink. And the irony of it almost made me smile. They were literally trespassing and trapping me in my garage. But I was the selfish one. That's when I started documenting everything. Photos of every vehicle. License plates. Timestamps. And not just once. Every single time. It felt ridiculous, like I was making a scrapbook of my own stress. But I had a gut feeling I'd need it. Sure enough, at the next HOA meeting, Melissa stood up like she was giving a courtroom statement. "We need to address Tyler's behavior," she said loudly. "He's disrupting community harmony with hostile actions." I stood up and said, "You mean the hostile action of not letting strangers park on my property?" She rolled her eyes. "That's not what's happening. The driveway has been designated overflow parking for neighborhood needs." So I pulled out my phone, opened my photo album, and I started swiping. 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars. Here's me blocked at 7 a.m. Here's me unloading groceries from the street because I couldn't park. Here's a literal dent in my garage door from one of your community guests. The room went quiet. Someone coughed. One guy looked down at his shoes like he'd rather be anywhere else. Melissa snapped. "These photos are harassment." And that's when I realized what she was doing. She wasn't trying to win with truth. She was trying to win with narrative. If she could make me look unstable, she could justify anything. Then came the grocery incident. The one that flipped the switch in my head from annoyed homeowner to "I will end you legally." I came back from the store with milk, frozen stuff, the whole deal. And there was a glossy black sedan parked diagonally across my driveway, like it was making a statement. No note. No number. No way to move it. I honked. Knocked on doors. Waited. Nothing. 45 minutes later, I started carrying groceries across the grass in the dark like I was camping in my own neighborhood. Ice cream melted. Milk got warm. My patience got thinner with every trip. Then finally, the driver strolls up casually. And it's Melissa's nephew. Early 20s. Smirk on his face like he just won something. He looks at me and goes, "Relax, dude. It's just a driveway. Just a driveway." I stood there holding a bag of melting food, and something inside me went cold. Because it wasn't the inconvenience anymore. It was the disrespect. The casual humiliation. Like I was supposed to accept it. Like I was supposed to smile and take it. That night, I tried the proper routes. Called a tow company. They wouldn't touch it without police authorization. Called non-emergency police. They told me it sounded like an HOA civil matter. Translation: "We don't want to deal with your rich neighborhood drama." Small claims court would take months. And Melissa knew it. That's why she kept pushing. She was counting on me getting tired. What she didn't count on was my grandpa. See, my grandpa Frank lived about 30 minutes away. Retired mechanic. Vietnam-era stubborn. The kind of man who can fix a washing machine with a screwdriver and pure attitude. When I told him what was happening, he didn't even sound surprised. He just said, "So they think they can steal your driveway?" "I guess so," I said. Grandpa Frank paused, then goes, "All right, we'll fix that." The next day, he pulled up in his old pickup truck, hopped out, and handed me his phone. On the screen was a product listing. Low-profile retractable tire spikes. The kind used in private lots and gated parking areas. I stared at it. "Grandpa, is this legal?" He grinned. "On private property, with warnings?" "Yep." I checked. I laughed. "You checked? Like, you called someone." He shrugged. "I don't play guess games with the law." And that's what I loved about him. He wasn't reckless. He was precise. He believed in consequences, but he believed in doing it the right way. So we ordered them. While we waited for delivery, Melissa escalated again, because of course she did. She started hosting community events on my block. One Saturday morning, I wake up and there are balloons tied to lamp posts and cars lined up like it's a parade. And where are half of them parked? My driveway. Kids running between bumpers. Parents sitting in folding chairs. Someone grilling. Melissa walks right up to me with her clipboard and says, "Oh good, you're here. We're using your space for family fun day." I stared at her. "Are you insane?" She smiled. "Don't be dramatic, Tyler. It's just one day. One day that ended with crushed flower beds, oil stains, and a ding in my garage door. When I demanded compensation, she actually said, 'Accidents happen. Maybe you shouldn't have fragile plants.'" That was the night I stood in my garage staring at the damage, jaw clenched, and realized Melissa wasn't going to stop until someone forced her to. Then the spikes arrived. Heavy steel. Simple mechanism. Retractable. Grandpa Frank came over again with his tools like we were building a fort. We measured, drilled, anchored everything into the concrete. Sweating in the Georgia heat, hearing the drill echoed down the cul-de-sac. People walked by slowly, pretending not to stare. A couple neighbors gave me subtle nods. The kind that says, "Good." Finally, we painted warning triangles in bright yellow. Legally required, Grandpa insisted. Not subtle enough to miss if you were paying attention, but perfect for someone who wasn't. By noon, the system was ready. Steel teeth across the driveway entrance. A hidden lever in my garage. Flip it down for me, flip it up for them. That evening, a silver sedan rolled toward my driveway like it was on autopilot. It slowed. The driver saw the warnings, and he backed out fast like he almost touched a live wire. I stood there with my arms crossed and felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. Of course, Melissa didn't take it well. She cornered me at the mailbox the next day. "What is that contraption?" I kept my voice calm. "It's a deterrent. My driveway is private property. It's dangerous," she snapped. "It violates community aesthetics." I smiled. "Show me the rule." Her mouth opened, then closed, because there wasn't one. Days passed. The spikes worked perfectly. Cars avoided my driveway like it was haunted. No more being blocked in. No more strangers treating my property like a buffet. Then came her retaliation. At the next HOA meeting, Melissa stood at the podium like she was leading a crusade. "Hazardous installations," she declared, waving her clipboard. "This creates liability for the entire neighborhood." People looked skeptical, because everyone had seen the nonsense. When the vote happened, her motion to force me to remove the spikes failed. Not even close. And the look on her face. It was beautiful, like someone just unplugged her life support. So she tried the next move, calling the city. Code enforcement showed up. Inspected. Measured. Took notes. Then the officer shrugged and said, "It's compliant." As he walked away, he quietly added, "You're going to get more complaints, though." Melissa wasn't done. A week later, I came home and found 3 cars across my driveway again. And the spikes were down. Not broken. Down. Flattened. My lever was inside my garage, hidden, which meant someone had been inside my garage. I felt my blood go cold. Then Melissa appeared across the street, watering plants like she was innocent. "Oh no," she called out sweetly. "Looks like your little toys aren't working." That's when I called the police and pointed to my security camera. See, I installed one the day after the grocery incident. And now it paid off. I pulled up the footage on my phone, and there he was. Melissa's nephew fiddling with my garage lock, slipping inside, flattening the spikes, then waving cars in like a valet. The officer's whole expression changed. "Ma'am," he said, turning toward Melissa, "you're aware this is breaking and entering?" Melissa's face went pale, and suddenly, for the first time, she didn't have an answer. After that, things moved fast. Complaints stopped. Cars stopped. Even the whispers slowed down, because the neighborhood finally saw what was really going on. Melissa wanted control so badly she committed crimes for it. Her nephew got charged. Melissa got removed from the compliance committee after an emergency board review. She tried to scream about conspiracy and defamation, but nobody cared anymore. Not after the footage. And me? I got my driveway back. But here's the part that still messes with me. I didn't feel happy. Not fully. Because part of me kept thinking, what if I hadn't recorded? What if I didn't have Grandpa? What if I was someone weaker, older, quieter? Melissa would have steamrolled them, and she would have smiled the whole time. So yeah, Grandpa installed legal spikes. And technically, they were just metal. But to me, they were something else. They were a line in the sand. A reminder that community doesn't mean whatever the loudest bully wants today. Now I want to ask you this. If you lived in a neighborhood like this, would you have done what I did? Would you have installed spikes, cameras, and gone scorched earth legally? Or would you try to stay peaceful and negotiate, even if it meant getting stepped on? Drop your answer in the comments, because I swear, these HOA stories always split people into two teams. And I'm genuinely curious where you land. And if you've ever had a neighbor like Melissa, tell me your story too, because I know I'm not the only one.